So how does this make you feel? Well, if you're like most people, you get a little twinge of compassion, or maybe you just think, what the heck is wrong with these guys? We know they're machines. We know that's a machine, even though it looks like a dog, but we still have feelings about it. So when I got into research and technology, I didn't expect to be researching emotion. But every time I did a study about how people use technology, there it was, from intense feelings to fleeting feelings to lingering moods. Emotion was behind everything that we did with technology. So for the past 5 years, I've been studying it. Not always directly, because if you want to strike fear into somebody's heart, ask them about their feelings. They don't want to tell you. So I did one study where I had people think about the different modes you have on your computer. Like you have a nighttime mode to dim the screen, or on your phone you have a driving mode to turn off your notifications. And they described back to me what their modes were. They had everything from gentle mornings to anxious insomniac, where you're scrolling through your phone over and over again. They had chill time to beast mode. I had people do an emotion annotation project where they went back and they marked up every tap, every swipe, every scroll of their use. I gave people a magic wand, and I told them, please, change what you will about this technology. I hosted research play dates where I had kids come in and play with Jibo and Aibo and Cosmo and all the other robots that seem to end with an O. We hosted emotion tech hackathons, and here's what I found. Our technology is radically insufficient for the emotional spectrum of our lives. The best experiences make us feel a little bit of everything, and technology is no different. So I think it's time for technology's EQ to equal its IQ. Now, when you're a researcher like me, you have a lot of stories, and I could talk about the gravitational pull of our phones or the coming AI apocalypse, but today I'm going to talk about our cars. Why cars? Well, it's in my blood, I guess. My grandfather worked in the factory. My father was a design engineer. My brother is kind of infamous for taking apart a lot of cars and sometimes putting them back together again in the right way. In America, we have a culture of cars. It's a big, wide-open country, and cars are associated with freedom and adventure, also with daily misery and impossible commutes. We do everything, and I mean everything if you look at this list in your car. I'll confess to the singing, but I'm not going to confess to some of the other stuff on this list. Maybe we can share that afterwards. When we are in our cars, it treks to milestones. So we grow up with our cars. We get that first old beater from one of our siblings. We travel across country, and we have to leave our car behind. We borrow a car to help move in. As we use our cars, we transform them. Not always like this. This is the Houston Art Car Parade. And they, in turn, transform us. Sometimes, as we're going through those milestones, we make those transformations or those hacks. This one's genius. I wish I'd thought of this. So we have a lot of emotions about our cars, but the one thing that's going on here that we'll talk about today is that cars are also filled with sensors. They have the same people in and out of them all the time, and it's a limited amount of people. So it makes it the perfect little emotion lab on wheels. So join me today as we're going to leap into the future and look at what that future of cars might look like. We're going to start with just a couple years out, 2020. I'll call this the age of companionable cars. So at this point, our cars are, we are focused so much with autonomous cars on the technology itself. But in a weird way, we're also focused on how we can make that technology disappear and fade into the background. And this is a tension that we have with technology all the time, is that we want to talk about technology, but we also want it to go away. In the case of autonomous cars, it gets even a little stranger because the people disappear. We don't know what we're going to do in autonomous cars. We think it might involve lounging around in matching sweaters and futuristic clothes like this. But we're not 100% sure what that will be. Now, we attach to our cars in all kinds of ways. We name our cars. Even Zipcar has kind of honed in on this habit that we have. And so here's Gilgamesh, as you can see, named in the corner for this BMW. And there's an Audi A3 Jazz Hands, and my favorite, the Prius Platypus. It doesn't take much, though, for us to humanize our machines. If it has eyes or a face or it moves in an irregular way, we want to humanize it. At MIT, researchers took this to the extreme. They did an experiment where they called people in and they introduced them to a tiny robot bug. And they gave it a name and they told a little story about its life and let them play with the little robot bug. And then they said, okay, smash it with a mallet. Of course, no one was able to do that. So we talk to our cars. This is an astonishing number. Over 40% of people talk to their cars. We can have true car confessions after this, okay? I've been known once or twice to talk to my cars. But in 2020, our cars will talk back to us. And there's nothing that makes technology feel more like another human, like a social actor, than giving it a voice. And so car companies are kind of playing around with this idea. Toyota's released a video about one of its concept cars. And let's just have a little look at what this possible future might entail.
Just texting him last night. Hey, hon. All right. Love you. Yui, display I love you on the front panel. Hey, Charlotte.
Yeah. You? Did you see that? That's so embarrassing. Okay, let's just focus on the good news.
Hey, Noah, how you feeling, buddy?
I'm okay, Yui. Thank you.
Hey, you gotta remember you're a great dad.
Thank you.
I think I have a little something for you.
Yeah, what's that?
Here it comes, my friend.
Oh my goodness.
So, okay, Yui let him fail terribly. My teenagers, by the way, did not want me to show this video. They said, no, teenagers aren't like that. But he cheered him up afterwards. Now, we are very tempted to humanize our technology. We can give it features that are human-like. And that might make it feel more like a companion. It might, in turn, also change us and make us feel a bit more machine-like. In one of my studies where I had people listen to the recordings of their voices talking to Alexa, one woman said to me, you know, when I talk to a robot, I think I talk like a robot. So it will be a weird transition, and we'll want our cars to become companions in some way or another. But at this point, our cars won't really be reading our emotions yet. So let's jump ahead 5 more years to 2025. We'll call this the age of cars that care. Hopefully they care. Hopefully they're nice cars. But it's the age of machine-readable emotion. So at this point, the cars, Gartner Group says, even maybe before this, that machines in general, all machines will know more about our emotions than our own families do by being able to read our physical traces of emotions. Now, I don't know, in a way, I feel like, no, that can't possibly be true. But then all I have to do is think about how we are with our phones. My phone knows where I go, what I do, who I'm with. It's the first thing I look at in the morning when I wake up. It's sometimes the last thing I do before I fall asleep. It has all of my secrets, and I'm sure it's the same for you, so much so that if I asked you to pull out your phone right now, unlock it, and hand it to your neighbor, things would get a little awkward. And it's about to get a lot more intimate. So what does this mean? Well, we saw a little taste of this in the last presentation, that emotion AI is going to start tracking physical traces of your emotions from your face, from your voice, from even your walk, and other instances that it can detect of your physical presence. That's good. That gives us some sense of emotion, and it's going to permeate all different industries, from social media to news media, from healthcare to customer care, from advertising to autos, because as you can see, automobiles are filled with feelings that we can detect. Now, why is the auto industry so interested in this? Well, probably for advertising, but also it's for safety. I was a little astonished to look at statistics that showed what causes the most accidents. Yes, it's drunken driving. Yes, it's texting and driving. But right after that, it's emotion. It's road rage and that time, when you're crying in your car because you're alone and you can. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who does that. But those moments cause accidents. And so they're interested in emotion because it can make us feel safe. It can make us feel more comfortable. It can also build more excitement. That's a big part of driving too. Or it can help us communicate with other drivers. I might use that. But the thing about it is even in 2025, even with our machines detecting some of our emotions, and usually it's just the big ones, like we saw in the last talk, happy and sad and angry, it's only getting at one part of those emotions. It's only getting at the physical signs of that emotion. Emotions are so much more than that, though. Emotions have a social layer. It mediates how we relate to each other and to our machines. It has a behavioral layer. It motivates us toward action. And it has a perceptual layer, that layer that's evoked by songs and scents and stories and even Proust's Madeleine. Those kind of emotions are still not possible to detect in 2025. Machines still don't get that ineluctable modality of the emotional. So let's skip ahead to 2030, the coming catharsis. Maybe it's at this point that all of the dots will connect and emotion will come together. Well, first, let's think back a bit. In 1884, William James asked, "What is an emotion?" We still don't know. There are about 100 different theories on emotion, and physical traces of emotion is just one of them. It's culture, it's words. The one thing that I've learned from studying emotion these past 5 years is it is really, really complicated. And I don't know if we'll ever totally figure it out, and that's okay. I think what we'll see, though, is that machines will get better at emotion. They'll be able to pick up more nuance, more texture, more detail, maybe more than even we can detect in certain cases. I won't see 1 million faces in my lifetime from all cultures, all ages. I will not hear 10 million changes in tones of voice, or if I do, I might not even recognize them. And this will change us in turn and hopefully make us more emotionally intelligent. And being from the US, I think we really need this. But also, if we put on our rose-colored VR headsets, We can already see it happening. Therapist chatbots helping detect depression, glasses that help kids on the autism spectrum be able to decode other people's emotions. So I know there's a lot of ways we can go dark with this when we think about privacy and respect and consent. It seems like there's a dystopia that we can choose for this, one on every single click. We don't want this either. But, so you might say to yourself, well, okay, why do we even need machines to detect emotion at all? Maybe we should just leave this alone. After all, I don't need my phone or my smart speaker or my car to detect my emotions and become more emotionally intelligent. But I'll leave you with this. If we make our technology more efficient, if we streamline tasks, we may make a more productive society. But if instead we make our technology emotionally intelligent, we may just create a more human future, one with communication and compassion and connection. Technology, as we design technology, technology designs us. And I say, let's make that future together an emotionally intelligent one. Thank you very much.